Next, we will invite Amnesty Manchester, Hazel, Errey for sharing.
Do I need both? Here? Okay. Hello. My name's Hazel and I'm a member of the Manchester group of Amnesty International UK. So we're a group of volunteers who meet in Manchester and try to raise awareness and campaign on behalf of human rights abuses from anywhere in the world. But firstly, I want to say a big thank you for inviting us to attend today and to speak. We're really honoured and privileged to be standing here in solidarity with you all as we mark International Human Rights Day. And we remember those many individuals around the world who have had their rights abused or denied. And today at this event, we use our voices to support the people whose rights have been suppressed by the Chinese authorities, including particularly the people of Hong Kong. I'm sure all of you here today will have more direct experience and knowledge of the situation in Hong Kong than I have as a UK citizen. However, I have watched with sadness, dismay, and at times horror as the situation has unfolded over recent years, and especially since June 2020, when the national security law was enacted in Hong Kong. As Amnesty members, the situation that this created reminded us and emphasises the very reason that Amnesty International came into being. That is, the need to stand up for our fellow human beings wherever they are, when their voices are silenced by repressive governments and authorities. Freedom of thought and freedom of expression are human rights for all. But recent events in Hong Kong have reminded us once again that we cannot take our rights for granted, and we must be vigilant, even in the UK, in defending these rights, whenever and wherever they are threatened. This is what the people of Hong Kong did and continue to do. They stood up for their rights, many of them at great personal cost. Recently, Amnesty International has highlighted the cases of 3 pro-democracy activists, Jimmy Lai, who is one of the focuses of today's event, Gwyneth Ho and Chow Hang-tung, who have been convicted over their involvement in Hong Kong's annual Tiananmen Vigil on the 4th of June 2020. Amnesty International's Deputy Secretary General, Kyle Ward, said, "The Hong Kong government has once again flouted international law by convicting activists simply for their involvement in a peaceful, socially distanced vigil for those killed by Chinese troops on the 4th of June 1989. People should be free to peacefully mourn and remember the victims of the Tiananmen crackdown. And to prosecute people for doing so is an egregious attack on the rights to freedom of expression and assembly." Like many other prominent political activists in Hong Kong, Lai, Chow and Ho are facing multiple charges, some that could bring potential life imprisonment under the territory's national security law. They are currently held in prolonged pre-trial detention without bail. As you will also no doubt be aware, the Amnesty International offices in Hong Kong have had to close by the end of this year. Angela Mai Singh-Bice, chair of Amnesty's International Board, said this about the closure: "This decision, made with a heavy heart, has been driven by Hong Kong's national security law, which has made it effectively impossible for human rights organisations in Hong Kong to work freely and without fear of serious reprisals from the government. The environment of repression and perpetual uncertainty created by the national security law makes it impossible to know what activities might lead to criminal sanctions. The law has repeatedly been used to target people who have upset the authorities for any number of reasons, from singing political songs. Just let him get past.
We're right behind you.
Thank you. We'd appreciate it. The law has repeated, this is still the words of Anjula Mai Singhbai's of reasons, from singing political songs to discussing human rights issues in the classroom. The pattern of raids, arrests and prosecutions against perceived opponents has highlighted how the vagueness of the law can be manipulated to build a case against whomsoever the authorities choose. The government crackdowns in Hong Kong are targeting activists, opposition politicians and independent media. The crackdowns have also recently expanded to include civil society organisations. Amnesty International knows of at least 35 groups that have been disbanded since the law was enacted, including some of the city's largest unions and activist groups. I want to finish by quoting the words of Agnes Callamard, Secretary General of Amnesty International. There are difficult days ahead for human rights in Hong Kong, but Amnesty International will continue to stand with the people of Hong Kong. We will fight for their rights to be respected, and we will be vigilant in our scrutiny of those who abuse them. While leaving the city that we have called home for decades is devastating, we do so confident that the strength of Amnesty's 10 million plus supporters worldwide will enable us to continue our work together to end human rights abuses everywhere. Thank you.
Next, we will